Hi, I'm Emma. And this is Stu. And this little bundle of energy is my son Finley. When we're not out and about exploring lost history, or up to our knees in mud, we like nothing more than escaping the rat race of life and creating memories together. So thanks for joining us, and welcome to the channel.
Hi, and welcome to The Great Escapers.
And today you join us on a bit of a road trip around the Derbyshire
area.
And I could say the Peak District, but the Peak District and Derbyshire. And if you've been following our recent videos, you'd have seen that recently we stayed up in Castleton on the old Mamtor Road. And because we're quite new to doing a little bit of wild camping, sort of stopovers in our motorhome. And of course we headed for Castleton first, so check out that video if you haven't already. But today we've come down to another very well-known area where we were told that we could park for the night, and this is called Cromford Meadows in Cromford, just south of Matlock. And we've parked up. We were a little bit unsure, like I said, being quite new to this. But anyway, we seem to be all right, but we're going to have a little bit of lunch and we're going to go for a little bit of a walk around the area because there's so much to do around Cromford. You've got the mills, you've got Matlock Bath just up the road. It's amazing. So we're going to go for a bit of a walk and just basically take you through our journey and tell you our experience of staying here at Cromford Meadows Carpark.
So let's go and have a bit of lunch, go and put our boots on and go and escape.
We've got a beautiful view, as you can see, of the meadow behind us. We've got some sheep roaming around. I don't know if they're going to try and nibble our hubcaps during the night, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
But we've paid using the Ringo app, which is a little bit confusing regarding the payment system, isn't it?
Yeah, I will go through it a little bit. So it's got an ANPR camera, so it picks up your registration when you go in, so it knows what vehicle you've got because it's registered to DVLA. Problem is, we're a motorhome and it's charged us £4
car rate, basically.
Car rate. That isn't right, but it does say motorhome £6. But
there's no option to change it that we can find in any way, shape or form.
Not
so
at all.
Fingers crossed. We'll let you know at the end of the video if we have any problems with that later on down the line.
In the future, yeah, absolutely. But other than that, the car park is a little bit like an air. It's not an air, don't get me wrong. It does have public toilets here that are actually under refurb at the moment.
Which is a shame.
But weirdly, there's showers here as well, isn't there?
Apparently over at the Mill Visit Centre, there is actually some showers, but we're going to have a little wander, because today's plan is we're going to basically wander up to Matlock. I mean, it's getting a little bit late in the day now, it's well after lunch, so we're just going to have a little wander around and see what's about before we come back here, do a little bit of a tea and
shut off for the night.
That's it. So join us on our walk and we'll see you on our way. So we just left the wharf that was just over there and crossed into Cromford Mills Car Park, and I do believe you can actually stay there overnight as well. I think it's £12 for 24 hours or £24 for 48 hours, but it's a bit of a more busy car park, so we chose to go with the Meadows instead. But if you just walk through the car park, you actually can take a footpath that goes all along the river here, and I think it takes you into Matlock Bath. So that's what we're going to do, and just have a wander and see what we can find. Following the road to Matlock just a little way now, not even 10 minutes, because this is the way the footpath sort of sends you into Matlock, and we've come to the rather grand Masson's mill, one of Arkwright's cotton spinning mills, of course. I think this was built in 1782, so It's really got some amazing history to it, and I'll take you for a better look when we get a bit closer. But it's a shame because I think it was like a shopping outlet up until a few years ago, and then I don't really think they're using it for anything now, which seems to be a shame that they can't turn it into a museum, because I'd certainly go and have a little look. But we'll see if we can get some shots of some of the structure, because it's really quite incredible, and especially if you're interested in the Industrial Revolution around this area. I mean, it's really quite a sight. And in fact, I think some of it's actually been used for a car park now, so you can just about see inside it there. I mean, look at that. It's really quite wonderful, I think, but we'll see if we can get some better shots as we go along. So there we have it, Masson's Mill, part of a World Heritage Site that this whole area sort of covers. And we did have a little look just inside the door there, and apparently it is actually a bit of a museum now, or there's certainly a bit of a visitor centre. So that's really good, because when me and Stu came here about 7 years ago, it was all just sort of shut up and abandoned, and it seemed like a crying shame that part of our history was just sort of being left, really. Especially something that was important as one of the world's first factories, of course. So, you know, not too much history about it, but thought it was worth mentioning as we're wandering along. But we'll carry on having a look at the scenery until we reach Matlock.
And here we are, we're actually coming into the town now. Actually, it's quite unusual. We normally see this absolutely rammed with cars piling up along here and everything.
Yeah, it's unfortunately sat on quite a busy road, but they call Matlock, don't they? It's like the beach resort, Blackpool of the Peaks almost, isn't it? You've got Candy Floss, fish and chips, amusement arcades. It's quite strange, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To actually be in almost like a seaside resort without a seaside.
So, yeah. But you have got lots of natural springs around here, which is always quite nice to see with the fish and all that sort of thing. So. And
you've got the nice river that you can walk along, which maybe we might do tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we've just come just to have a little sort of poke our nose in, really, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Just to have a little look while it's not quite so busy. But I think they might even have the illuminations on this evening, so have a look into that if you're interested in doing that one evening if you ever come here. But
we're going to take the risk now and start walking through the town and seeing what we can find.
Yeah, maybe we might even find some donuts if we're really lucky.
That'd be quite good.
That's been the main strip of Matlock Bath, or Bath as I believe they call it up here. And I lost count of the amount of fish and chip shops that they've got here. Literally every other shop is a fish and chip shop, and if it isn't, then it's candy floss, ice cream. I mean, it's quite great, really. Especially if you live in the Midlands and you don't get to go to the seaside regularly like we do. But I think we're going to try and get off of the rather noisy road, cross over the river, and see if we can take the slightly more scenic route back if we can find the way. So we didn't manage to find any donuts, but I'm sure there probably are some. But we've got a nice dinner ready to cook when we get back to the van. So we'll carry on down here and we will see you hopefully across the river. Managed to find a bridge over the river, and this is the Jubilee Bridge, and actually I think it was built in like 1880 something or another. So this whole resort, I'm going to call it a resort, it actually dates back to like the Victorian times. I think that's when it became very popular. But we're actually walking down a footpath called the Lovers Walk. So I'm not quite sure why it was called the Lovers Walk. I can only imagine the Victorians back in their day when they were courting, coming for beautiful walks along the river here. I don't know, use your imagination. But we're basically using it just to make our way back to the van. It's slightly quieter, more scenic route. So we'll sort of show you some of the scenery as we walk along. Very quick look around Matlock Bath. Took us a little bit to actually get back from the river, didn't it? Because there's not actually any stairs that are obvious, but anyway, we made it. But we're literally going to trace our steps back the way we came, and we'll meet you back at the van.
Good morning, everybody.
So we had quite a nice stay here, didn't we?
We did.
For the night, it was fairly quiet. We had one or two other people turn up, but yeah, really quiet here. And we're thinking of maybe moving on to the car park just opposite called Cromford Mills, because it's about the same sort of price, isn't it, as we paid here, but we're not too sure yet. But today we're going to go for a little bit of a walk. We're going to head along the Cromford Canal and, well, see where it takes us, really, aren't we?
That's what we're going to do today. So come and escape with us, and we'll take a nice stroll. I wouldn't say a nice stroll, because I think we've got a gradient to walk.
Probably, it's the Peak District, it involves a hill. But we will see you on our little walk.
See you in a bit.
So while we're just walking along the canal, I'm only going to give you a very brief bit of history about this. But this is the actual end of the Cromford Canal. And this canal runs for 14.5 miles all the way sort of down south until it meets the Erewash Canal, I do believe. And it was actually built in 1790. And I guess the reason why Arkwright built one of his mills up there was because obviously, you know, the canals were, well, before the railways, were a good sort of transport system for moving all the cotton and stuff, I guess. But so like I said, this is the very end of it. And I can only assume, because we're not too far from the railway line, that possibly it joined up with the railway line once upon a time. But we're not going to walk the entire 14.5 miles. We are literally going to walk down to the High Peak Junction, and like I said, that's somewhere where we've actually explored in the past. Have a very brief look at it until we divert off to the High Peak tramway, again somewhere where we've been very briefly in the past, but we're going to hopefully do a little bit that we haven't actually done before, and with any luck we'll take a circular walk and we'll end up just here. So let's carry on walking down here, and hopefully we'll see something pretty or interesting along the way. And here we are, as promised, at the Cromford and High Peak Junction. We've actually got the Cromford Canal just to my left here, one of Ben Outram's and William Jessop's works of art, apparently. And just behind us, we've actually got where the High Peak Railway sort of meets the junction. And this is supposedly the world's oldest railway workshops, I think dating back as early as 1830.
Yeah.
So of course the railways actually date back to, was it 1825? Because what is it this year, Stu? You know about that?
What's the, oh, it's the
200 and
200th anniversary. We had it at Norwich train station.
That's it, 200-year anniversary of the railway. So it's quite sort of relevant that we've actually come here. Now the one behind us, the High Peak Railway, which is technically a tramway, I think dates back to 1825, a few months after the very, very first World's one, which I forget which it was a couple months older. But we are going to head up the High Peak Junction a bit.
We are.
Until we get to the top of the first incline. So it's a little bit of a trek, isn't it?
It is.
We've done it once before.
We have. But if you do want to see a full video of this, we do have it on our Exploring channel, which we will pop the link at the end.
Yes, or very likely probably above my head here somewhere as well.
Either way. Either way it works. But I will like to remind everybody, if you're enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. It helps our channel a lot. And also if you want to become a Patreon for £3 a month, you are welcome to do that as well, where we've got more exclusive content.
That's it, so that'll all be in the link below.
But for now, we're going to go and take a long walk up a very long hill.
Long hill, yeah. Right, let's go.
Let's go.
So we're just leaving the junction behind us, and like I said, we're going to take you for a little walk on the Cromford and High Peak Railway. And the first thing you're met with is, I think, one of the biggest inclines on the railway. Don't know if it's the steepest, but it feels like the longest. And this one's called the Sheep Pastures Incline. And if you've ever been here before, you'd know it's got a catch pit where, for any runaway wagons, they were diverted into this pit so that they didn't end up crashing all the way down to the junction, over the canal, and possibly crashing into the railway that went on to be built down there. And supposedly that did actually happen in the past, hence the reason they built these catch pits. But like I said, we've done this one before, up the Sheep Pastures Incline, and it's a bit steep, so I don't know if I'm going to do too much filming, because all you're going to hear is me huffing and puffing and panting. But at the top of it, there's a really lovely winding, steam-powered winding house, which we'll show you when we get up there. And we're at the top, finally, of the Sheep Pastures Incline with the winding house behind us, which is really nice to see, because although there was numerous winding houses along the High Peak Trail, there's not very many of the structures left.
No, that's actually quite nice to see. And obviously, how we know a winding house worked, steam generated engine with wiring going down to the bottom on a big wheel, attached to a couple of crates. Off they come up and down they go. Quite easy, really.
Yeah,
quite simple engineering, but at the same time very dangerous engineering, especially for today's type of standards.
Yeah, well, that's why they had the catch pit at the bottom, obviously, because they weren't always safe.
No, no, of course not. And if you can go on Instagram sometimes, you'll see they put history stuff on, which is quite interesting, where blokes are actually inside the crates, and you know, it's quite dangerous. It was quite amazing to see that health and safety was not an issue.
No, certainly not. But still, I mean, it's the only way that you're going to get up the gradient of the High Peak Trail. It's got a massive gradient, it's something like 200 to 300, possibly more, all the way to the end, which is about 30 mile long. We're not doing 30 miles today.
No, of course not, no.
But we're going to carry on along this nice flat bit of it.
Yeah.
A bit blustery up here, until we reach the next thing, which I think might possibly be Black Rocks, which is a place we've never actually been to.
No.
So quite interested to get there. So
Let's go and have a quick look. Yes, have a look.
And so here we are at an area called Black Rocks, and as you can just see up there, there is a large black rock which people are climbing. But apparently people have been visiting here since Victorian times to admire the views. But of course this area actually was a lead mine. Gosh, I think it dates back to something like the 1600s or something, when they were mining for lead. And I think they opened up again a little bit later in the early 1900s to do some calcite, I think. And I think this behind us is a big pile of spoil. But now people just come to sort of clamber around the rocks, admire the views. And if you don't want to actually do the walk around the area, you can actually just park at a car park just down there, which of course is not too far away from where our van is. So we're going to get back onto the actual trail because we didn't really intend on spending very much time here. And we'll just keep going for a walk really and see where it takes us. So we've left Black Rocks behind us, just about 10 minutes that way, and it looks like the sun's starting to set, so we've decided that we're going to head back to the van and get all cosy for our evening. So we will meet you probably only in about 15 minutes when we get there. And here we are back in Cromford town. Apparently there's a really good fish and chip shop just here. But our car park where we're parked is literally about 10 minutes walk that way. But there's pubs and off licenses and all sorts of places to get food and bits and pieces if you need a few supplies and you're parked just down there. So we'll, like I said, we'll see you when we get back to the van. Right, so we're back from our little walk
Yes.
along the Cromford Canal and round through up to Black Rocks. That was quite
That's
nice,
it.
wasn't it?
It was a lovely walk actually.
Yeah, probably walked about 4 miles or so,
Yeah.
I should think. But we've actually had a bit of a change of plan for our sleeping arrangements for
We
tonight.
have. We've done a little bit of investigating,
We did. And as you may recognise, we're actually back where we spent last night.
which we're still in the car park where we were last night, yeah.
Yep, on the Cromford Meadows Carpark. Now, there's no reason why we couldn't have stayed at the Cromford
No.
Mills. You can go up to the machine and very easily select that you've got a motorhome, select 24 hours and
Yeah.
they would have charged you £12.
That's it.
But here, we're actually only paying £4.
£4.
So we've decided that we'll stay here.
Yeah, so how it works before we end this tonight's part of the video is the ANPR will pick up your vehicle and basically it tells the DVLA tell the car parking people what vehicle you have. It'll charge you accordingly
To your registration.
to your
number.
registration.
Yeah.
So we're still classed as a van even though we are a motorhome, so it's classed us for £4. The people over here, possibly because of what they've got, that will possibly be £6.
Yeah.
We don't know. The people over here, who's just in their van over here, who's just parked here a little
Small
while ago,
motorhome.
they're classed as a van, they're charged £4, but they come in with a Volkswagen camper a few months ago and they were charged £6 for a motorhome.
So who knows? But they've parked here before. They said they've never had a ticket.
No.
So, hey
We're
ho.
going to go with that. It's a lovely spot, we've got a lovely view.
Beautiful. And it's a lovely evening.
Exactly, so we're going to carry on now.
And we're going to crack open, I think, a tin of chili con carne for
That's
tonight's
it.
dinner. And we'll probably see you very quickly before we go to sleep. So, in a bit.
Chili con carne, tortillas, lovely jubbly.
morning. Another rather lovely night here at Cromford Meadows Carpark.
Yeah.
Actually, we had quite a few other people turn up, didn't we, in the
Yeah.
end? It's been quite busy.
It was actually quite funny because we were actually talking to all the campers that have actually parked up here, and weirdly, every single one of them got different prices on their vans. So the one next to us, which is a Mercedes Sprinter,
Long wheelbase.
wheelbase, he got a motorhome charge, which was £6.
Yeah.
We got a motorhome. We never got a motorhome.
No.
We got a van, which was £4.
We got charged for a car.
Yeah.
The van next door to us, similar size to us, got charged for a van, but then a slightly bigger one got charged for a motorhome. So who knows? But a lot of these people said they've been here before, they've had no problems with what they've paid in the past. So we're just going to go along with that, and hopefully we'll come back here in the future. Fingers crossed. But we hope you've enjoyed our couple of days here at Cromford, walking along the canal, walking up to Matlock. We've not done an awful lot, but it's been nice just to sort of get away, isn't it?
It has been, and now it's home time, so we are going to be making the 5-hour journey home. At 50 miles an hour, because
well, that's why it takes 5 hours, because we're not going to win any races in this van.
No, we're
but
not.
we do love her, and this is our first proper road trip that we've actually spent in our van, and it's been very successful. We've had
brilliant.
a really lovely time. So at the moment, I would recommend this to anybody.
Anybody to do this, to buy a van and come and do this, was probably one of the best things we've done.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And for the 5 full nights that we've spent, and don't forget to check out some of the other videos that we've done while we're here. We've stayed in a campsite once.
Yeah.
So it is possible to do it, and especially if you're new to this.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if you want any little bits of advice, again, we're quite new, but drop us a comment and we'll sort of tell you a bit about our experiences so far.
That's it. But as from the Great Escapers, we hope you've really enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, which is £3 a month, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, and also don't forget to check out our Exploring channel if you're interested in some of the history around Derbyshire, as well as the whole of the UK, because we've got plenty of videos on that channel. And again, for all of that, you can check out the information below.
That's it.
But like Stu said, here from the beautiful Derbyshire, I was going to say Peak District, but we've been all over the show this week. Thanks for watching as always, and we will check you out on another one.
That's
So
it.
see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.